Aloha, aloha kako. Hi, guys.
Hello,
I'm Moon Kauakahi, and this is
Eric Lee.
yeah.
And
we don't
that's
have
Moon Kauakahi.
we don't have a name for our group, so it's since it's Moon and Eric, just call us me. So Emmy or M or whatever. And today we'd like to share some songs from songs that we collectively have written over a span of a span of years. So and share the stories why we wrote the song. So this first one actually is written by Eric.
Yeah. Tang. Tang tara pehela. Ke aloha I he ana oi He ahakau e hana e ne E wahi hoa pili paha E holo aku ai So pea ho mi ne Ua I ke anei Ua I ke noa E ano kule ana ne He aloha So pela o mine Hello no Hello no Aloha no Aloha no Mai nani ku'upuga Your eyes come up palu palu They hypnotize and I'm coming out So nami pela Hello no Hello no Aloha no Aloha no Sweet baby, you keep on coming home and in my oil, and every morning, oh, see pa. So they know I show me love. Hello, no, hello, no, aloha, aloha, no, my darling ku'ulai. Your eyes come up, balu, balu, they hypnotize and I'm coming out. So darling, ala. Hello, no, hello, no, aloha, no, aloha, no, sweet baby, you are in my oil, and then we're honey, oh, see the pa. So they love us, yeah, said that's the high. So they love us, yeah, said that I know. So baby, pay a lot. Yeah. Once again, aloha, Kailua. Is there anyone besides the two of us that's not from Kailua? Raise your hand. Oh, yeah, no shame, no shame, no shame.
Ever Beach? No.
Ever Beach?
Too far.
YNI?
Kaneohe. Oh, that's far, yeah? No. Oh.
Wahioa.
Wahioa.
Okay, you win.
Yeah. Yeah. Oregon.
Oregon. How'd you get over here? Swim? California.
California.
Welcome, welcome. Oh, yeah.
As said earlier, we'd like to, over the period of I don't know how many years, but We have written some songs, and Eric and myself. And today we'd like to feature some of the songs. And a lot of them, although we perform it, and if you may have some of our recordings, you may know the story of some of these songs. But a lot of the songs that we've written, I don't know if anybody knows the story. So we'd like to just explain some of the songs that we have written today and do it for you.
The story behind the music.
Yeah.
Such as.
This is one, I'm not going to say 19 back then.
XX.
Yeah. There were two songs that I had written, and this is one of them. When the group first started, the group that I was a part of, well, actually both Eric and I were part of this group, the Maka Sons, way back when. And this was one of two songs that I had composed. And the story is that I woke up early in the morning, Makaha Surfing Beach was pounding. And at 3 o'clock in the morning, it sounded as if you're surrounded by the entire ocean, like you're sleeping in the middle of the sea. That's because the waves would echo off of the mountains. And I woke up 3 o'clock this morning, that morning, and I don't know what I started to write. I wrote 16 lines, and I fell asleep. The next morning, I woke up and looked, okay, what the heck did I write? And a melody popped into my brain, and I created a song. That was one of two songs that I had written, two of the first songs that I had written. This is one of them. It's called Kahiapo. In English, it means the call of the surf. And it speaks about the echoing sound of the waves coming off the mountain. And it was like the ocean in all its fury. It can also be calm, and it provides for all the people that live around it. So, Kahiapo, or the call of the surf.
Oh
heo ke ale.
Mr. Moon, Kauakahi. All right. Well, since we're on the west side,
Okay.
I'm going to journey out of Makaha, head Honolulu bound. Well, not that far, but Nanakuli, Maili area is where I'm coming from.
Okay.
So a lot of the gigs that we perform, if we're not performing in the hometown, is usually outside of the west side. You know, usually in town, most likely in Waikiki, and that's kind of where I found my little pond to swim in, growing up as a musician. You know, venturing in the professional scene, for lack of a better word. But, you know, always getting off somewhere between the hours of 9, 10, 11. By the time we're on the road, cleaned up, finished the gig, and heading back home, it's usually around 11, midnight. And from Waikiki back to the west side, usually about a 45-minute drive, depending on traffic, or if someone decides to do construction in the middle of the night and line up cones and block 2 lanes for 2 miles only to be working somewhere else. But anyways, heading back to the west side. Sounds familiar, huh? You guys can relate to that. But by the time we get towards Ko'olina area and we're crossing around to Kahe Point, passing Hawaiian Electric Company, making up the hill and right into Nanakuli.
Was that for real?
That was for real.
Oh,
We do have berries and chickens and things around here.
okay. Whoa.
See? Are we in Kailua?
What? Is it 4 o'clock in the morning?
Is it 4 o'clock in the morning? That must be waking you up from your afternoon nap. But anyways, getting into Nanakuli area, you know you're finally back home. You know, home is just a stretch away, right around the corner. And at that time, you know, I would shut off the radio, roll down the windows, and just enjoy the elements around me. You know, that is the west side. You know, you're hearing the ocean, as Moon would mention. You can hear the pounding surf, because, you know, when you're driving on the west side, most of the time you're either, one side of the road is the ocean and the other side of the road is the houses and the neighborhoods and everything heading up to the valley and the mountains. So, you know, you can hear the surf. Sometimes when the surf is really active, and you can see on the street lights on Farrington Highway, you can actually see the salt in the breeze passing by. So, you know, you can smell the salt air. You know, you can hear the ocean. You know, you can hear the rustling in the trees from the wind. And sometimes, if you're really lucky, you can smell the sweet of the chicken farm or the pig farm in the valley. But all those things tells me, hey, I'm back home. So I wrote this song, Aina Vehi o Maili, is kind of as a tribute to that. Every time I'm getting off my gigs and I'm heading back home, you know, these are the elements that are awaiting to welcome me back home to the west side. Aina Vehi o Maili. Exactly. Yo e ku'umana o e Aina vehi o maili Heli avale huli hoi aku Woho me aloha e Yo e ku'umana o e Aina vehi o maili Heli avale huli hoi aku Woho me aloha Ke ia o ka kua hibi kukila kila Ua rehi ia me ka mailera uli E nani ke i ke aku Ke ia o ka kua hibi kukila kila Ua rehi ia me ka mailera uli E nani ke i ke aku nape o ka lau o ka niu I ka makani olu E hu mai ana ka e hu o ke kai He nani e I ke oku E holo nape o ka lau o ka niu I ka makani olu E hu mai ana ka e hu o ke kai He ala hui hui e He amai ko leo na he I ka nehe a he kai Wale amali e I ke one olu olu Me hana I ka la He amai ko leo na he I ka nehe a he kai Wale amali e I ke one olu olu Me hana I ka la Wana ia me ke aloha Aina vehi o maili He li awale huli hoi aku Uoho me aloha e Wana ia me ke aloha Aina vehi o maili He li awale huli hoi aku Uoho me aloha Avale huli hoi aku Uho me aloha e Uho me aloha e Uho me aloha e Aloha Aloha Maili e Aina vehi o maili. Weha.
Having been raised on the Hawaiian side, or on the west side, when we were small, there were a lot of landmarks there that we never could understand or never could figure out its name. And just recently, I wrote a song, and a young artist named Keone Ku had recorded one of my songs that I had written. And the song is called Palikea. And Palikea is the prominent mountain, well, other than Ka'ala, that's just on the west side. As you enter into Nanakuli, you see this very bright mountain. That one. That mountain is called Palikea, and it's right next to Palehua, when you go up to Makakilo. And so there are four prominent features in the forms of mountains that is on the west side. Palikea, Ka'ala, Pu'u'ohulu, which is in Maili, and Lahilahi, which is a mountain hill that kind of like sits alone by itself out in the ocean. So I wrote a song about these four landmarks per se that is prominent there on the west side of Oahu, in Waianae. And it's called Palikea. And Palikea just means white cliffs. And you look at the mountain, it looks like kind of brown, but if you are fortunate or lucky enough to climb that mountain, from the face you cannot see it, but if you go on the top, on the other side, it's made up of lime. So the mountain is white on the other side. So how, they went up and named it White Cliffs, they must have saw it from Wahiwa.
Oh. Or maybe they won't climb on.
Or maybe so. Palikea. Okay. I have so much melodies running through my brain. I think, okay, now which melody pertains to what song that I wrote how many years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Palikea.
Okay, okay. That's the one.
Anani wale palikea kui ka malilea. E olino I ka maka o ka lehu lehu. Anani wale palikea kui ka malilea. E olino I ka maka o ka lehu lehu. Nini iuka I ke o naunala. Me ka mai le lauli I lauala. Nini iuka I ke o naunala. Me ka mai le lauli I lauala. Kala e o mai pu o hulula. A mauna ki e kaua he makai. Pua le alahi lahi kala vela. E kuha he o nei ku ho o kahi. Wana ia mai ke aloha. Anani wale pali ke ahui ka mali e. Wana ho ia mai me ka ilihia. Anona ho ailona ina nani ka mahao. Anani wale pali ke ahui I ka mali
Yeah. Palikea. That's got to be like one of your most recent songs that you just wrote.
Yeah. When did Keone come out? Last year? The other
Yeah,
year?
well, last year, was it 18? You wrote it in 18?
Okay.
Yeah, recorded it in December of 18. He came out, and then 19 got his, yeah. I'm sure you wrote more since then.
I can't remember. Today we're kind of like tossing songs together, and Eric reminded me of a song that I have completely forgotten about. And he said, what is the name of the song?
Round in Waikiki.
Round in Waikiki. He said, why don't you do Round? I went, oh, that's right, yeah. When did I compose that one? So I don't know.
That was for the Kuikova CD.
That's the one.
Yes, the one. Do you want to do it?
No. I don't even remember.
So many songs and not enough time. You know.
Let's do Sure. The reason why I'm looking through this, I'm looking through all the songs he did. Yeah,
And I got all the songs he did over here.
Yeah.
I said, okay, did you do this one? Okay, how about this one? No, that
Okay.
one. Okay, this one. So we're going to do this one. So this is a song that, well, it's entitled Hali Alia Aloha. And it's a song that I started writing maybe in the early 2000s and didn't really finish until maybe 2013, 2014, when I was getting ready to wrap up my anthology album when I was celebrating 20 years. And at that time in 2000, see, we're going by years now, 2013, I believe, Moon had asked me to step in with the Makaha Sons when John Coco was ill, and then he eventually passed away. And then I stepped in and filled in on bass. And then being with the Makaha Sons it was kind of a surreal thing for me, following them at one point, learning their music and aspiring to be like them one day, and then one day singing with them those songs that you had aspired to, be like. So being on stage next to Moon and Jerome, singing the songs and being a part of the legacy was a chapter in my life that I will always hold dear in my heart. And Hali'a Li'a Aloha is basically a cherished memory, something that always recollects and makes you feel, you can just recall all that fondness inside, whether it be shared with a loved one or a family member or some moment in your life that always sticks with you to the end of the day. So my time with the Makaha Sons was my Hali'a Li'a Aloha. So when Moon was getting ready to retire from the group and I was getting ready to continue on with my solo album, solo career, I asked the guys if they would join me on my anthology album, because it was a collection of songs that I had recorded in the past, but I also wanted to record new songs to kind of show the future chapter, that the book's not closed. There's just highlighting this part of the book, and there's more to be written. So this song is one of those songs that kind of ensures that it's going on. The journey still continues. And Moon and Jerome were very gracious into joining me in the studio and recording this song. One of two songs that I had sat down with Moon and I asked Moon, I got these two songs that I want to add to the anthology collection, but I wanted to know if you'd be okay arranging them as if you were arranging them for the Makaha Sons, because I wanted to, I highlighted different chapters in my life, playing with different groups and different people, and I wanted to highlight this chapter on the anthology as a member of the Makaha Sons. And so he was nice enough to sit down and dissect the song and rearrange it to how we would be in a Makaha Sons style. So this is one of those two songs entitled Hali'a Li'a Aloha.
I laila I ka iu o kala, aia ka ua I ka lai, moia e nei ka olu o nā palai. Nini po mai ka ua ea, moa ni ke ala o nā hanui honei e hanuli po akena, nini po mai ka ua ea. Ke pā mai nei ka ua noela, aia he kumatani olu ma e lei ka ili nini po mai ka ua ea. Ke pi o mai ke anu e nuela, me hana hoki ka ua e ka ua, I ka pili na I ka pili alo. O mai ka ua ea. Puana ia me ke aloha la, no ka hali'a li aloha, I laila I ka iu o
Ali Ali Aloha. And mahalo kamu.
Getting back to way back in the years, way back when, this was the first song I wrote. It was written about a trip. I just got married back then, and my father and mom came to visit me one day, and we were sitting under the banyan tree, and we're just talking story, and I haven't seen my father and my mom and dad for a while, so they came to visit me. And while we were talking story under the banyan tree, and you hear a lot of noise, a lot of chirping, well, guess what? And you're sitting under the tree, and the chirping is happening above you. Yeah,
Directly above you.
Directly above you. And my father was sitting there, and he was talking, and we were talking, and all of a sudden, there was a splat. And he started to curse the bird out but you couldn't understand him because he was talking all in Hawaiian. And the only thing I understood him saying was, "Manu kolohe, you rascal bird." And I started to laugh when I heard that, and I couldn't stop laughing. And right from that moment on, I said, I need to compose a song. And I composed a song called Manu Kolohe, and it tells all about what happened. Yeah, and use your imagination. Mai nei, umehana ko ulai, e ka manu koro he, luna o te kumu, e himeni mai, a ole o mai. A ka puiwa I ke au ka manu kohe A ole noho Malalo ke ia kumu E ka manu kohe I luna o ke kumu E hine I mai A ole ki o
And the manu kolohe. That wascally bird.
Was that officially song composition number 1?
Yes, I think.
The very first composition. Hi. Being a songwriter, or for myself, growing up in songwriting itself, learning a lot, especially from this guy on my right, I find that you can pull inspiration from anything. You know, you can pull it from life experiences, happy, fun, sad, rascal, you know, from events in your life, or just if you want to dedicate it to certain things about where you're from, places you visited. One song that I was asked to write was for the Hawaii tourism industry, and they needed to write a song that speaks about Hawaii. And I took that thought and I went home and I was thinking, okay, so you can write about islands, you can write about mountains, you can write about oceans, winds and everything, but I took a simple approach and I just wrote about the flowers. You know, every flower from every island being of a different nature, being of a different smell. And I related that, you know, in Hawaiian poetry, when you say pua, it means a flower, but it could also mean child. And every child being of a different character, different background, ethnicity, or whatever it is, you know, are all joined living here in Hawaii. So I wanted to kind of use that kauna play on meanings, the double meanings, you know, the pua, the flowers. Everyone is unique in its own light, as well as the children, and the children is, of course, the promise of our future. So the song is entitled "Ua Nani Na Pua o Hawaiine." Beautiful indeed are the flowers of Hawaiine, and you know, I made sure to. Well, I only wrote about the first four major islands, would be the island of Hawaii, Maui, Oahu, and of course Kauai. And then when I went into the studio to record it, I wrote the second half of the song, which was for the other four major islands of Rabbit Island. No. Lanai. Lanai, Molokai, Kaho'olawe, and of course Ni'ihau. So this one is entitled "Ua Nani Na Pua o Hawaiine." Ua nani na pua o Hawaiine, Iwilia me ke aloha, I ke ole na alanu hea. O ka wehi o ke ia aina, o ka lehua roselani me ka ihima, mo ki hana he nani maolino, o ka wehi o ke ia aina. Ua nani na pua o Hawaiine, ua nani na pua o Hawaiine. Ua nani na pua o Hawaiine, Iwilia me ke aloha, I ke ole na anu hea. O ka wehi o ke ia aina, o ke kauna oa kuhui me ka hinahina, kuhu he nani maolino. O ka wehi
na ni na po o Hawaii.
Wow. Yeah, this past few days or past few weeks, Eric and I have been learning from each other. And yes, I'm still learning. And trust me, and I learn from many people, and Eric is one of them. And I try to share what I think I know with Eric. And Eric, I learned a lot from him and many other people. This next song. There are so many songs that good thing Eric is here because he's telling me what songs that I wrote.
I'm kind of his pocket reminder. Like, bing, don't forget this.
Okay. Yeah.
Wait, before you tell the story, I got to say, this next song that we're leading into, that when I was going to the University of Hawaii in Manoa. And I first met Moon in high school when I was roughly about a sophomore. And a mutual friend that we share saw that I was getting into music. And he took it upon himself to kind of steer me into Hawaiian music because I started off with rock and roll and everything
Top
like
40.
that. Top 40s and stuff. And he was like, come boy, come. Let me, learn about Hawaiian music. So this friend that we share took me in one day and said, we're going to teach you some stuff. So it's like sitting across of each other on the two chairs, kind of like this, but we're facing each other. And he was teaching me certain licks on the guitar about Hawaiian vamps and certain scales. And then one day, he calls me to the house because I knew he knew Moon, because at one point he was jamming with the Suns before professionalism took off and everything like that. So he would share a lot of his stories with me about, when I was with Moon and Jerome and Iz and Skippy and blah, 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 and everything like that. And I was kind of the kid going, wow. And so one day he calls me over and then he said, come over, Moon is here. And I was like, whoa, cool. And then we started jamming, and then he introduced us and just played music, and I would come over and visit. And one day this friend again calls me and says, they were recording their Ho'oluana album. And if you're not familiar with that album has songs like No Hilie, White Sandy Beach of Hawaii, I'll Remember You, so all those hits. And then one day I was washing my car outside, and my brother comes out of the house. He says, "Hey, you have a phone call." I was like, "Who is it?" He's like, "Moon." I was like, "Who?" He's like, "Moon." I was like, "Oh." So I went on the phone. I was like, "Hello?" And he's like, "Eric." And I was like, "Yes." He's like, "Do you have any plans tonight?" I was like, I did, but no longer. What do you have in mind? He's like, come over to the studio, and he gave me the address and everything. And I was still learning my way around town, so I got lost, and brother was waiting for me in a parking lot by McDonald's for at least a half hour. I finally showed up. I showed up, and I went up to his car, and I said, can I go run into McDonald's and get some dinner real quick? And he was like, go ahead. So I ran in, and then he took me down the road to the studio, and he sat me down, introduced me. I met Jerome and John and the producers all there that night, and we sat and we listened for the first time the mastered product of their newest album that was coming out that was called Ho'oluana. So I was listening for the first time before the public did, and before the radio started playing it, No Hilie and White Sandy Beach and I'll Remember You and everything. And so that's kind of where our relationship kind of started stirring. And then when I graduated from high school, I went into UH. And you're wondering where this is leading to. This is leading to this song. So he was called over because I was in the Hawaiian language program. He was called over as a guest speaker one day. Do you remember this? We were in Spalding building. I don't know if you remember the building. But he came over, and Kumula'o, Lloyd, invited you over. And as a guest speaker to share some of your songs. And you brought over your compositions, maybe about 3, 4, or 5 of them. And one of them was this song. And I love the story. And I'll go ahead and let you tell the story, but this is kind of where it's leading to. So this is entitled Mokihana lullaby.
I was just going to ask you, what song we doing?
What song is this?
Okay. My first trip, well, I wouldn't say my first trip to the island of Kauai, but one of the most memorable trips I took. I stayed there for about 2 weeks. Stayed with an auntie of mine on the west side, and I had a cousin who always used to go up to the mountains, go hunting. He would catch a pig, and my auntie then would dress it for the next morning. We would have smoked pig and fresh poi and everything else. I lived like that for 2 weeks. Because it was the first time I ever had or ever seen for myself what Mokihana looked like. My cousin went up to the mountains, picked up these beads, and he gave me, this is for you. I said, what is it? And it was full of Mokihana. Because from that experience, I wrote the words to this song. And originally, I called it He Pua Mokihana. That was the original name. I kept it, never had a melody for it. When I got home, my wife then, I got home from work and she said, call Loyal. I went, Loyal who? And she said, well, how many Loyals you know? And I went, Loyal Garner? And he goes, yeah. So I called her, and out of the clear blue sky, she said, you know, I have this melody, but I have no words to it, for it. Do you happen to have words? And here, remember that. Why is Loyal calling me? You know, she could have called Dennis or whoever, you know, these prominent composers. And I went, you know, just so happened I wrote some words after I came back from Kauai, and I don't even know if it's going to match or whatever. And she said, well, why don't you come over this evening? So I went to her home in Haiku, and she said, before you show me the words, I'll play you the melody. And she played it, and I looked at the words, and she played it, and she played, you know, and she went through the whole song. And after she finished, I said, here, it fits like a glove. And she started to sing it. But then when she recorded it, she asked me if she could change the title to the song from He Pua Mokihana to Mokihana Lullaby. And I went, fine with me, go right ahead. So that's how this song came to be. Mokihana, what? Lullaby. Mokihana Lullaby, hello.
The one we was talking about for the last 15 minutes.
Exactly.
Oh
Mokihana Lalawai. That's such a cool story when, when you're collaborating with other songwriters, composers, especially when it's like that. Say, hey, I got a melody. Well, I got a song. I got words. Let's put it together. It fits like a glove. It was meant to be. I graduated from Kamehameha schools in 1992, and when we were celebrating our 25th class reunion, when we were getting ready to celebrate our 25th class reunion, everybody was starting to get excited because it was, a big mark. And I found myself on the Big Island of Hawaii one weekend, and I was helping out a kumuhula and her halau for a future competition that was coming up in a matter of months. And so we, spent the weekend up at Kilauea military camp, which is on Volcano. And such a getaway, the place is just serene and it's quiet, and it's just you and Pele and all the elements around you. And it's a good place to just clear your mind and work on stuff. What I didn't expect was my last night before I went back home, I had a restless sleep, and the next morning I woke up and I went on social media to my class page, and I found out that one of my classmates had passed away. And it kind of hit me because it was heartbreaking to know that we're getting ready for our 25th class reunion within a matter of months, and some of my brothers and sisters won't be there physically anyway. And so I kind of lamented over that over the next week after I went home. And I found myself writing words on paper, and I sent it to Moon, and I said, hey, this is kind of my situation that I'm going through. I'm really in a funk right now. And if you don't mind, when you have a chance, check the words, make sure that the Hawaiian is correct, and hopefully we can work on a melody that's fitting for the mana'o behind the song. And so he said, okay. And then one night, almost midnight, it was like around 11:30, he's calling me and he's like, I have your melody. I was like, okay, cool. He said, come over now while it's fresh in my mind. I was like, okay. So headed over to his hale, and we sat in his garage. Aloha, take care. Enjoy the next adventures that await you tonight. Two of them, all two of them. And so we sat in the garage, and then he shared with me the melody, and it was beautiful. But for some reason, something inside of me felt that the song wasn't finished. And so it's one of those that it's like, it's good for now. Put it on a shelf. Let it sit and see what happens. Following a few months later, I found out another classmate had passed away again. It's like, wow, man, this is a bummer. And Moon and I were in the midst of preparing for a Japan tour. And I felt that, if I was to be one of those that passed away, what message would I leave behind for my class? And so I found myself feeling very, very full of gratitude. One, for my classmates for sharing that experience with me, and another one, gratitude for our Princess Pauahi, because for those of you that know, Princess Pauahi's assets and wealth is what gave birth to the Kamehameha schools. And it was through her generosity and her intent to offer education and opportunities for our Hawaiian children to have a promising future. For that, we're always grateful to her for leaving that legacy behind for us. And so I found myself once again writing words. And I thought it was going to actually be a chant. And so I wrote these words giving gratitude for Pauahi and tying, once again, my class into it. In high school for Kamehameha, when you reach high school as a freshman, you choose a color that represents your class because we have song competition, with song called Song Contest. And so we're represented by class colors. And so ours was gray, also known as Hina Hina. So when we graduated in senior class, we did a song called Kaho'olawe, which, funny enough, they recorded as the Makana Sons of Ni'ihau. And so all of these things had a lot of pilina to me. It was very close and significant. The color gray, the song Kaho'olawe, the island Kaho'olawe being of the flower Hina Hina, which also in Hawaii means gray. And so I tied Hina Hina in representing our class. And so I shared with him, we were on a bullet train from one city to another city, and I said, hey, I got the words to this. Check it out. And he sat with me, and we were going back and forth of it. And then I went to the bathroom. By the time I get back into the bathroom, he said, okay, I'm done. Check it out. See if it works for you. I said, okay, cool. And then we got to the next city. We're getting ready. We got into the dressing room. And then I started working on a melody for the song. And just like a guru kind of a guy, he walks into the room, he hears the melody, and he goes, put it in 3/4 time, it would sound better. And I was like, okay. And then sure enough, it kind of made sense. And then when we got home, I told him, I'm going to come over because I think this is the answer to the song that we've been waiting for. So I took the first song off the shelf, and I brought this new song in, and I combined it. And I said, this is the final song. And it was originally titled this and originally titled that, and we put it together, and it became Noe Pauahi. And so the song starts in 4/4 time, but it seamlessly goes into 3/4 time as we get into the second half of the song. And just finished it right before Alumni Week and the celebrations up at Kamehameha, where our class got together and started celebrating, and our class reunion and everything. And the night, it was a Friday night, our class finally got together and had our class party. And I gathered a bunch of my classmates that I sang with in choir in high school, and I said, hey, I got this song. I'm going into the studio tomorrow. I would love for you guys to sing it with me. And so they're like, we're in the middle of a party, man. I don't know what condition I'm going to be in tomorrow. I said, throw it to faith, and let's see how it goes. So sure enough, we got to the studio the next morning, and all of them showed up in very good condition. And we had arranged, Moon and I had arranged the second half of the song to reflect the choir experience I had in high school, the song contest deal. So it would be arranged in soprano, alto, tenor, and bass. So it had a 4, I think even had maybe a 5-part at one point, 5 or 6 part. So it was a choir formation. So I had invited my classmates, they learned the parts, and we recorded it. And then later on in the first half of the song, I invited Moon to sing a duet with me. And so this is Noe Pauahi.
No e ke ali'i o Pauahi lani nui he mele ho'ohano hano ua ke aloha me ka ha'aha'a o ka lei hina hina nani o ka ike Hawai'i ke kuhuna te mea nui ano mātou. Nā ke akualani e pili pa'amau i nā mea mākou e pono ai. Ke mahalo atu nei o e ke ali'i o Pauahi lani nui ko inoa. O ka lei hina hina nani lei ka mahao no ka meha meha nui ka makua. Ke mahalo atu nei ia o e ke ali'i o Pauahi lani nui ko inoa. O ka lei hina hina nani lei ka mahao ka meha meha nui ka makua. Uhana ia mele no Pauahi lani nui o ka meha meha nui ka makua. O ka meha meha nui ka No e Pauahi.
Hey! Well, hope you folks are enjoying it, guys, so far. You guys all right? All right.
About what year is this?
2020. How was your vision?
7. Yeah, about some years ago. I can't remember what year, but I do remember, lucky for me, the day I got married. So if I didn't remember that, I'm in trouble.
You'll be sleeping
wrote-
with the cats tonight.
I wrote this one song as a gift for my wife now. And I based it around her favorite flower. It was her favorite flower up until today is still the gardenia. And so I composed, interesting story. I composed 2 songs in the same day, but it wasn't here in Hawaii. It was in Santa Barbara, California. We're getting ready for another wedding up there, a wedding celebration anyway. So 2 songs I composed, I was feeling in a composing mood, I guess, that day. I composed one song for Raitea Helm. It was called Le Kukui. And I composed the second song for my wife. It's called Le Pua Gardenia, based on a flower that she loves, her favorite flower. Oh, right in the middle of the last verse, all of a sudden I heard my wife's voice just before I left home. She said, "Are you doing Lepo Gardenia?" And I might. She said, "Don't you dare." I said, "Why?" Because I'm not. She said, "Because I'm not going to be there." I went, "What?" So, mum's the word. Eric, please don't tell it.
I hear nothing. I know nothing.
Okay, good.
Well, since we're on wife compositions,
Oh,
this is one I recorded, wrote for my wife. And it basically talks about how we first, our first date. You know, we went out, we hung out, we had fun, we laughed, talked story a little bit, and everything was fine. We went to the beach and watched the waves, and the weather was perfect. It was just a perfect evening, and simply called Po Hemolele.
cool. Those are we all.
Enani oe I ka uike, ka pohe molele. E noho maila e ke aloha, he kiloho o nā nea, he kiloho o nā nea. ume ume mai oe me kohano ala e hali hali mai e ke ahe a tamakani e ke ahe a tamakani umaila ke aloha I ka honi honi o olumana I ka manao I nei a pohe mohe I nei a pohe mohe Uana me ke aloha no ka pohe mohe mea ue hohe noai nona kauakau nona kauakau Uana me ke aloha no ka pohe mo'olele mea ue hohe nai nona kauakau nona kauakau e mohe Oh, Himalele.
Okay, Israel, or Brother Is, as everyone knows him, as he soon to became popularized by using is rather than Israel. As most of you know, he was one of the original members of the Makahasans of Niihau, which included himself, Skippy, his brother, Melvin Amina, Jerome Koko came in after, Sam Gray, Abraham Nahulu, and myself. We had a whole bunch of people, but over the years, there were different combinations. In some years back, we were getting ready for the Nahoku Hanu Hanu Awards, the first or the second year. When? Oh, I doesn't date myself. In 1977, 1978. Anyway,
When he first
we
started.
had a performance in Kahala somewhere, and we didn't want to go all the way back to Makaha just to come back to the Ala Moana Hotel where the Nahoku Awards first was held. So we decided to stay in town, and we ended up at Fisherman's Wharf, way in the back. And before that, we bought us bamboo poles. You guys remember bamboo poles, right? So, and we stayed there until until the start of the Nahoku Hano Hano that evening. And it was there, way back, Fisherman's Wharf, on one of those piers that I composed this song. And it is for a good friend of ours who lived on the Big Island. He recently passed away, and this song was for him. And it was for the stories that he told us. And he gave a gift, a white guitar, a 12-string guitar, to Skippy, who was the leader back then. And Skippy said, I don't know what to give him, you know. and said, "Can you do something for me?" I said, "Can you write a song?" And I wrote a song for this gentleman from the Big Island, and his name was Richard Kaleuhano. Back then, this young gentleman, he explained to us that he was raised by his grandfather. And every night after he finished working, just to wind down, he would ride all the way to Mauna Kea from Hilo, wait for the rising sun. And he always remembered that his grandfather he said, from the mountain here to the ocean right there, this is all your land. This is all your ancestors. And he remembered that. When he'd sit there on Mauna Kea, he would listen to the wind, listen to the voice of the wind.
Kauakahi, kaleo hano. As they say, wohiki mai ka hopeno ka ola. Hope you folks enjoyed yourselves. And thank you for receiving us so warmly with your aloha here in Kailua, allowing us to share that. A little bit of our stories behind the songs. So, now the next time you may have a chance to hear the song, it's not just a song you hear on the radio or a song you hear playing off of your CD or your device of whatever it may be. But now it's a song that comes with a connection. And hopefully you feel that connection every time you hear the song from now on. And you take this moment, this hali'alia aloha moment with you wherever you go. So once again, mahalo to the gang here in Kailua for having us. Ladies and gentlemen, nice round of applause for one of Hawaii's living treasures, Mr. Moon Kauakahi.
And to my left, to your right, one of Hawaii's, I learn every time when we sit down and just talk story and Kanikapila together. This young gentleman here, Mr. Eric Lee, and he's out there helping other musicians who want to make it in the recording entertainment world. He's out there doing it. I'm busy with the Queen Liliuokalani Trust over in Waianae trying to help those kids up there.
But I somehow managed to pull him back in.
I don't know how he does it. And I tell him, I retired. I'm retired from being a full-time musician. I got to help the kids over here. What time is rehearsal? How'd that happen? Anyway, I'd like to end this song. This mele. Years ago, it was at a hula competition that Kihei de Silva, the kumuhula, as well as with Mapuana de Silva of Halamo Halailima, gave me some words. And he was at the Hula Onie hula competition. I think I was also judging that year as well. But at the end of the competition, he hands me this envelope, and inside of the envelope are words. And he said, Moon, if you can, please take a look at these words and see what you can do with it. So I took it. I took it home. I went, oh, okay, wonderful. And I worked on it. And this was like about 10, 15 years ago. And I kept telling him, when we get back into the studio, I'd like to record this song. Never got back into the studio, other than helping other recording artists record their songs. And so I kept this song, and I figured, what better time to feature this song from one of Kailua's own, composed by Kihei de Silva for a trip that he took to Kauai. And it's called Noi Vale Mai Ki Aloha. And I hope I do justice to this song. Okay? Why am I looking at all the words already?
This is G, right?
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I'm Moon. That's Eric.
Malama pono ya oko apau. Aloha. Hamaho. Good night, everybody.
This is something fun. Let's just jam. Something on jam song or? Sure.
Do you have a request? No? Okay.
Anything Makala Sanji?
Anything.
You want to do Waisani Beach? You want to do Remember You? You want to do Take a Walk? You want to do Waisani Beach? You want to take a walk?
We sort of figure out that of all 2,000,001 songs we know, we don't even know one yet right now.
Which one?
I'll remember you long after this endless summer is gone. I'll be lonely, oh so lonely, living only to remember you. I'll remember you, your voice as soft as a warm summer breeze, your sweet laughter, mornings after, ever after, till I'll remember to your arms someday. I'll return to stay till then. I will remember every bright star we made wishes upon. Love me always, promise always. You'll remember too. I'll remember you. I'll remember you.
Take care, Kailua. Aloha.
Aloha.
Mr. Moon, Kauakahi.
Eric Lee.